Now we're going to take a look at this series, and we're going to find out what the sum is. We've already done partial fractions on it, and we found out previously that a was equal to -1 and b was equal to 1/2, and so was c. So from here we set up our expanded partial fraction, and now I'm just going to build a couple of, I don't know, the first 3 or 4 terms and see if we can find a little pattern in here. So and recall, because this is +1 right here, that, or excuse me, because it's -1 right here, we cannot use, we cannot use n equals 1, so we're going to start it at n equals 2. And when we do that, the first series will look like this. We have -1/2 plus, we have, before we do that, let's notice something. Let's notice something first before we do that. Let me erase that. We notice that we have a 1/2 in both terms, so we can factor that out and rewrite this before we start expanding it. We have -1 over n still, plus we have a 1/2. It needs to be factored back into that. And we have n plus 1 and n minus 1 in our denominators now. This is going to help us when we start expanding it right now. So starting with number 2, I'll switch back to purple. We have -1/2 plus, our 1/2 is still there, and 2 minus 1 gives us 1. 2 plus 1 gives us 3. And that's our first one. Moving on to the second one. We have -1/3 plus our 1/2. And we have 3 minus 1. We have a 1/2. 3 plus 1 gives us a 1/4. And so on. Now let's do the fourth one, or number 4, n equals 4. We have -1/4 plus 1/2. 4 minus 1 is 3. 4 plus 1 is 5. Okay? And I think that should be enough to... Now let's do one more. So we have a -1/5 plus our 1/2. 5 minus 1 is 4. There's our 1/4. And there's our 1/6. Okay, so what I did was just step back and look at it and try to take a look at what all terms I had. And I noticed that I had I just collected my negative terms, which would be the -1/2. Let me highlight those. -1/2, we had a -1/3 right here, -1/4, -1/5, and I just pulled those out in front so I could see those. Let me write those a little bit smaller. And then we had another -1/5. Okay. And then I just listed all my 1/2 terms together. So I had plus 1/2 times 1 over 1 is 1. And then I had a 1/2. Then I had a 1/3. I had another 1/3. Right? I had 2 1/4. And did I list 2 1/5? Let's see. I did not. Oh yeah. But notice that if I would have gone one more term out, I would have had another 1/5, right? So I'll go ahead and list 2 1/5 just for fun. That second 1/5 comes from the fact that if I'd have gone one more term out here, I would have had that. And that's pretty much all of them, right? Okay. So then I noticed that because I had 2 of these terms, I just rewrote the expansion one more time. This gets a little monotonous, but it's necessary. And then I noticed that the 1 and the 1/2 didn't have 2 terms. These 2 guys right here. So I just went ahead and added those together. And that would be 3/2. And then I just combined the fact that I have this grouping and this grouping, etc. So I said that I have 2/3, 2/4, and I didn't simplify it on purpose, plus 2/5. And I think you can convince yourself that this pattern is going to continue on and on and on, right? So in the next step I'll rewrite it so that it makes a little bit more sense. So I have a negative 1/2, negative 1/3, negative 1/4, negative 1/5, and this pattern is going to continue to minus 1 over n, right? And then I'm going to put my addition together, and I'm going to go ahead and distribute 1/2 to 3/2 and get 3/4. Distributing 1/2 to 2/3, you get 1/3. You're going to get 1/4. You're going to get 1/5, and this is going to continue, and you're going to add whatever your last term is. It's going to be 1 over n. Once you distribute a 2 to it, it's going to get rid of the second term. So, or not the second term, but the 2 in the numerator. So anyway, here's our pattern. And then if you'd like, you can notice the following, and I'll scratch these out using a red pen. This 1/3 cancels out with this 1/3. This minus 1/4 factors out of that. Your negative 1/5 is going to cancel with this one. And also note that this negative 1 over n is going to cancel out with the plus 1 over n. So this whole thing is going to converge to the following. We have our 3/4, and we're going to subtract a 1/2 from it, and we get a 1/4. So all of that will reveal what this series, the sum is, the partial sum. So I hope this is helpful.